Many excellent fighting games have been released on PlayStation consoles over the years, and this continues to be the case with Sony's latest console. The best fighting games for PS5 have beaten the competition handily, whether they're offering an ultra-realistic simulation or a fun-filled, fast-flowing free-for-all that virtually anyone can pick up and play. Featuring next-gen Street Fighter, Tekken, and Mortal Kombat games, it really is a great time to be a fighting game fan, especially for those who own a PlayStation 5. Guilty Gear Strive is a reboot of the Guilty Gear series and gives us an all-out action spectacle, with dazzling visuals, impeccable OST, quirky characters, and a beautiful coming-out story for DLC character Bridget. There's a lot to appreciate when it comes to this fantastic PS5 fighting game, and thankfully you can read all about it in our Guilty Gear Strive review. The trophies look to be a tad easier than some of our other entries on this list, although in saying that, don't get comfortable thinking that the Platinum Trophy Strive is going to be an easy one. Despite the Platinum Trophy having a 1.7% PSN completion rate on PSN, there are still a number of trophies that can impede your progress and make obtaining that Platinum an absolute grind. The main culprit is the Gold Trophy Messiah will not come, which requires you to beat the hidden boss of the game, something that can only be done on the extreme difficulty setting, without losing a round. Granblue Fantasy vs. Rising is the sequel/updated version of the 2020 original, including most of that game's content, including its entire roster of characters and a handful of new ones. Rising improves the experience with all new moves, mechanics, and modes. These include new ultimate moves for every character, a brand new story mode, and the Fall Guys-esque Granblue Legends mode that acts as a nice palate cleanser after intense online battles. And in terms of online matchmaking, Rising brings huge improvements by way of stable rollback netcode for much smoother matches, as well as cross-play support, meaning players on both console and PC can connect and battle with one another regardless of platform. Having released at the tail end of last year, Granblue Fantasy vs. Rising is already proving to be incredibly popular and has a content roadmap planned for the current year. This'll add new modes, update existing ones, and, most importantly, will bring more characters to its roster. The King of Fighters franchise has had its ups and downs over the years, which is understandable, really, given that the first game came out all the way back in 1994. King of Fighters 15 definitely marks one of the series' high points though, with the drastic improvements made to the previous installment's online mode being a big part of the reason for this. That's not to say that the game doesn't still have its problems, the most notable of which being its grueling difficulty curve, some notable absentees from the roster, and a story mode that makes some of its peers look like The Last of Us or some other narrative-driven masterpiece. Still, for those looking for a fighting game that rewards dedication and mastery, there are few better, at least when it comes to the PS5's somewhat limited library. The Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 trophies provide a decent and engaging challenge that are only amplified by the stellar gameplay and addictive combat. While the Naruto Storm games can slide into a multitude of genres, be it RPG, adventure, or even visual novel, at their core the Naruto Storm games are fighters through and through, and mighty fine ones at that. Those curious about how hard the Platinum is can look at the perfect Storm Master and decide if a completion rate of 1.3% on PSN is difficult or passable. As someone who has obtained the Platinum, there are only a few trophies that pose any real challenge, a couple of story missions you need to S rank. However, if you persevere and keep at it, you'll eventually get those trophies and the Platinum won't be far behind. So, go on, jump into one of the best PS4 fighting games. Street Fighter 6 is finally here, and it's the full package. Sporting a diverse roster of new and returning fighters, immaculate online systems, and a massive single-player World Tour mode, Capcom has swiftly addressed pretty much every issue its predecessor had in regards to lacking content. It helps that Street Fighter 6 is backed up by phenomenal RE Engine visuals. Street Fighter has never looked more realistic, but it's still packing an abundance of style that firmly puts the Street back into its namesake. Capcom has also been staunch accessibility advocate for Street Fighter 6. There's a swathe of fantastic options to help players with visual and auditory impairments. Plus, the addition of the streamlined modern control scheme helps new players pull off satisfying combos and special moves without wrestling with the traditional 6-button classic control setup. Street Fighter 6 heralds a new age of fighting games. And whether you're brand new or old hat to the genre, Capcom's latest fighter is absolutely the one to jump into above all else. Mortal Kombat 1 is one of the newer PS5 fighting games to release and is an absolute beast, boasting what could arguably be one of the best storylines from a Mortal Kombat game to date. Solid combat and over-the-top fatalities, this game is on another level. Those are just a few reasons why one Malawian Kwacha deserves to join this list of the best fighting games on PS5. The trophies are also quite a tasty outing, requiring a bit of grinding here and there, but being perfectly manageable and pretty easy for a fighting game. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 might be one of the most button masher friendly games on this list, but that doesn't mean it's shallow. Instead of memorizing combos and worrying about being ultra precise with your inputs, Ultimate MVC 3 is all about making the most of your special abilities and your partners. Each fight is a 3v3 affair, with one character on screen at a time until players call in their partners for an assist or screen-filling super move. And if you start to fall behind, the X-Factor mechanic can help you turn what looks to be sure defeat around. It's chaotic, it's loud, it's colorful, and it's fun as hell. At launch, many saw Dragon Ball FighterZ as one of the best Dragon Ball games in years. Sadly, the absence of rollback netcode did start to become a bit of a problem as the size of the game's community began to dwindle, but this long-requested function was eventually added as part of the game's early 2024 current-gen port. There's an incredibly diverse roster on offer here, with 24 playable fighters in the base version of Dragon Ball FighterZ and a further 20 available through paid DLC. Those still enjoying the 2018 title will be hoping that the game's current-gen release will attract enough new players to keep things ticking over until the arrival of Dragon Ball, Sparking Zero. A Tale of Swords and Souls, eternally retold. Soul Calibur May 6th have only just arrived on the scene, but it's already setting longtime fans alight with excitement. The definitive weapons-based fighter, the Soul Calibur series struggled to find its footing for a while, but seems to have come home with SC6, which echoes the beloved Soul Calibur 2. The new Reversal Edge mechanic gives combatants more options, while returning features like Critical Edge provide flashy, powerful moves that let you unleash devastation on your foes. Another smash like Brawlhalla has been around for a long time now, but it only seems to go from strength to strength. Originally just another platform fighter, albeit free-to-play with some charming original characters, Brawlhalla has morphed into a juggernaut of platform fighters, bringing with it some ludicrous franchise crossovers. If you wanted to have The Rock fight Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead, Brawlhalla is the game for you. As a free-to-play game, you can control a rotating cast of free characters, but dropping some cash will unlock the full roster, which includes dozens of characters that feature their own stats and weapons. While movesets might transfer across certain weapon types and characters, the designs themselves are varied enough that you'll want to find your favorite and demolish everyone on Brawlhalla's servers with them. After the release of WWE 2K20, it was difficult to see a way back for the long-running WWE 2K franchise. The change of developers hit the series hard, leading to one of the most technically broken video games in recent memory. To their credit, though, the team over at Visual Concepts stuck with it, and, after taking a 2-year hiatus, returned with the excellent WWE 2K22. The next few annual installments have continued this upward trajectory. Though it may not be a fighting game in the traditional sense, WWE 2K24 is no less rewarding, and, against well-practiced opponents or some of the more challenging AI settings, requires just as much dedication to truly master. Its biggest strength, however, is that it is an incredibly fun game, whether being played by nostalgia-driven adults or younger sports entertainment fans. The Dead or Alive series is a bit of a black sheep in the fighting game community, as some find it shallow and too focused on cheesecake, that is, highlighting the sexual appeal of its cast, to be taken seriously. Even so, Dead or Alive 6 is a more than competent fighter taken on its own merits with a strong sense of style on top of generally engaging, albeit sometimes difficult to master, combat. Not every fighting game needs to be focused on fighting against other players, though Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, the Hinokami Chronicles does come with a versus mode should players wish to batter each other both on or offline. If 2v2 arena fighting with an expanding roster of powerful anime characters sounds like your jam, Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, the Hinokami Chronicles is a solid pick. However, the real star of the show is the Adventure Mode, which adapts the first season of the anime series of the same name and places you in the shoes of protagonist Tanjiro Kamado, who joins the Demon Slayer Corps with the hopes that he can transform his sister back from a demon into a human. Considering the fact they're called the Demon Slayer Corps, it doesn't exactly look good for his sister. There have been plenty of Smash clones over the years, including Sony's very own PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale in 2012. In more recent times though, only a handful have really come close to matching the excellence of the popular Nintendo franchise, one of which being Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Exactly how close it came is definitely a matter for debate, but most will likely agree that it was a fun game, if nothing else. The game's 2023 sequel takes things a step further, bringing together even more of the most popular Nickelodeon characters for a nostalgia-fueled free-for-all that should appeal to players of all ages. Whether they grew up in the 90s watching shows like Hey Arnold and the Ren and Stimpy Show or spent their childhood kicking back to the likes of Danny Phantom and Invader Zim, there's a character here for just about everyone. If you are looking to simulate actual, real-life martial arts combat, there's not much out there of any note beyond EA Sports UFC 5. The ongoing franchise tends to get a lot right with kicks and punches having impact while forcing players to constantly evaluate their strategy on where and when to move in and go for the combo or grapple that will net you a KO. It's not going to be for everyone, and the incremental updates between versions are not going to be to everyone's taste, but if this is your thing, EA Sports UFC 5 is the latest and greatest version of it. Of the big three fighting game franchises to have made their way over to current-gen consoles, Tekken is by far the most grounded. Rather than bombarding their opponent with projectiles or zipping across the screen to land quick-fire attacks, players are forced to take a much more measured approach to combat. As a result, mistakes are more easily punished and there's a bit more of an emphasis placed on defense. All three of the heavy hitters have their strengths and weaknesses and each will likely appeal more to different types of players. However, for those looking for a more realistic combat experience, Tekken 8 is arguably the best fighting game on the PlayStation 5. Its single-player offerings may be a little on the short side, but the standard is up there with the very best, and the online play is more than serviceable thanks to the game's improved rollback netcode. If there's one thing Injustice 2 nails, it's presentation. From the word go, you'll be immersed into the world of DC Comics, and a stellar single-player campaign. Seriously, it's a fighting game with a really good story, will keep you going for hours. Once you've finished with that, a world of finely tuned battles against AI or online players awaits. And in a unique twist, completing the game's challenges will earn you pieces of gear that you can use to not only change the look of your chosen fighter, but alter their stats as well. It's an incredibly deep experience and you shouldn't be surprised to lose track of time with this fabulous fighter. When it comes to 2D and 2.5D fighting games, few developers are quite as well practiced as Arc System Works. The Japanese studio has played a role in the development of many of the best fighting games of the past decade or so, including 2022's DNF Duel, which serves as a spin-off of the Dungeon and Fighter games that were hugely popular in South Korea and other parts of Asia around the turn of the century. The game plays a lot like many of Arc System Works' other popular fighting games, with a simplified control scheme helping to make life easier for those who are new to the genre. The single-player experience is a little lackluster, unfortunately, but online play is top-notch, and the visuals and animation are bettered only by the game's beginner-friendly nature. So, did you like the games I recommended? So leave your like, subscribe to the channel to follow me and activate the bell because I post a lot of videos on this channel and you can't miss it. Thank you very much for following me this far and until next time, bye.